You know, I've I've had my criticisms of Star Trek: Strange New Worlds, especially this new season we're in. And if you've been watching my channel and subscribed to it, then you know that I've had my doubts about it. But this one episode is actually, as far as I'm concerned, well done. I really don't have any complaints about it at all. From beginning to the end, the story to me was well structured. And this is the one episode that I was completely nervous about because Lower Decks, at least my understanding of it, and I've watched it quite a few times, Lower Decks was supposed to be more like slapstick, making fun of Star Trek, and then to announce a crossover of the two was very was very dicey. And after watching it, I am so impressed with this episode. Bravo is all I've got to say about it. It was well done. It starts off with the Cerrillo centering orbit around Coroma B to do survey of a time portal that has been inactive for about 125 years. As usual, Boiler is very excited about the idea of going on a mission, and this one is particularly exciting for him because he is such a big fan of Pike, especially Una, number one. Meanwhile, Mariner, honestly, as usual, could care less about being on the mission, just wants to get it over with. Now, she is a big fan of Uhura and has this image of her of being kind of like her. Takes her job seriously, but not to the point that she's just boring. She likes to go out and have fun. And this is the image that Mariner has of Uhura. Tendi and Boimler are having a bit of a debate back and forth about who discovered the portal. Boimler is going on about how Pike and the crew of the Enterprise discovered it. Tendi is going on about how the Orion's scientists discovered it, and that her great-grandmother was on board the ship that discovered the portal. Their scanners are detecting small traces of heronium, a substance that hasn't been used or been around for at least 100 to 200 years. Boiler steps onto the platform and they decide to take holographic images, and for some reason that triggers the portal, which opens it, flying him through. And when he emerges on the other side, he is no longer animated, but live. Right in front of Spock, Una, and Lon. All right, so they take him back to the ship, and it's weird for him. It's got to be weird for them as well. I mean, they've already determined that his comm badge is from the future, which means that he's from the future. And he's just sitting there in awe over all these heroes that he absolutely loves. For Boimler, this has got to be one of the most incredible moments for him. I mean, he is actually in front of people he's been reading about his entire life. And to be on a ship that he's only seen in museums, to be touching this stuff, to be interacting with things that are over 120 years old, has got to be just mind-blowing for him. Now, to Lon here, who is just pretty much telling him, you can't talk about the future to us. You'll damage the timeline. And I have some experience with the timeline, which all of us know from Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, the interaction with Kirk and her relative Khan. But it's going to be a difficult thing for him to do because he's so not used to this, and being around these people, he can't help but be in awe, but at the same time be clumsy about it as well. He gets to meet Uhura in a most unusual way. He's really excited about getting on Pike's saddle. It's just such a major thing for him, and when he sees Uhura, he's just totally blown away, and even commenting on how much Mariner would be in love with the moment of seeing Uhura. So they go back down to the planet to scan the portal to see if they can find out any information. And Boiler informs them that they were scanning and they detected heronium. At the same time, they were taking holocams, and it emitted radioisotopes, which probably is what set off the portal. Now, when Boiler says this, Spock, and basically Spock goes off into this big laugh because Boiler says it like this. Well, I guess it was just dumb luck. And Spock breaks out laughing. And it's at this point right here, Boiler believes that something is wrong with Spock because throughout all the history texts that he knows of Spock, he never laughed. So for the remainder of the episode, he's going to keep an eye on Spock. Before they can do any more, they are ordered back aboard the ship because an Orion vessel has entered orbit. Once back on board, Boiler convinces Pike that this is a science vessel and that they mean no harm. Pike questions him by saying, since when? Name a science vessel that's Orion, basically. And before anything else happens, the Orions call. And in the middle of the conversation, the Orions steal the portal device from the planet and warp out. Pike and Una are really getting annoyed with Boiler. Did I mention before how incredibly excited he is to be in this situation? He even tells these two here that they're in the golden age of exploration, where alien encounters are no big deal back in his time frame, but where they are now is all brand new, so it should be an exciting time, and he envies them. Okay, and so Nurse Chapel is leaving the bar, and Boiler notices Spock smiling at him. And yeah, this is a creepy smile, and it's got him, as I said before, Boiler is very concerned because Spock doesn't smile. So something is seriously wrong. And he chases after Nurse Chapel to try to convince her to look at Spock because something's not right. And he's wondering if some way his presence there has affected the timeline and somehow damaged Spock. When in the middle of the conversation, they start, or rather, he starts realizing that Chapel may be the real problem that's going on, and Chapel starts recognizing the fact that she may not have a long future with Spock after all. He goes back up to the bridge to hear Spock tell Pike that there's just no way for them to track the Orion ship, but he says, I know how to track them. They all look at him and say, we've told you about this. You can't tell us anything about the future. And his response is the most insane answer to give, but it actually is brilliant too. He says, what if I fix the ship to go after them, but you just don't look at what I'm doing? And even number one is looking like, we can't do that. Can we?
We sure this is wise?
No, but I'm going with it.
They find the Orions and agree to trade the portal for the wheat that they have in the cargo hold. They are so wanting Boiler gone. Spock scans the portal and realizes there's only enough harmonium left for one more run. Boiler does his speech about how much he loved being there and it was an uneventful experience. Pike even says, yes, for the sake of the future, just don't come back. And just as he's about to go through the portal, Mariner jumps through. Now, can you guess how happy Pike and the crew are? Instead of having one person to deal with, that's very annoying, now they've got two. Mariner is even more rude live than she was animated, making references to how hot Spock is and specific periods in time as to where she thought Boiler would be. And oh my God, do you realize I thought you may have been the San Francisco riot or something? Going back to the problem, there's no Horonium left in the whole galaxy. And Mariner just says, can't we cook some up? And Spock says, that's the ensign's correct. We probably need, our best option is to make some. Mariner's been assigned to help Uhura, and Boiler's going back to helping Spock. And his big concern is that if they can't get the portal working again, they're going to have to go off the grid somewhere where they can't affect history. Mariner and Uhura are trying to decipher the hieroglyphics on the portal, and they can't seem to do it. And Mariner wants to go take a break. Uhura, no, I can't. I have to do this. She doesn't believe in taking breaks. And this is a complete letdown for Mariner. She believed her idol to be this cut loose, relaxed hero. And this is not the person that she's dealing with. But she convinces her to go take a break. They all gather for a couple of drinks and just to relax, where they find out something totally amazing from Erica. The hieroglyphics are Nausicaan, and they basically read, "This is a time portal." And their attempt to make neuronium fails. It pretty much explodes. Boiler learning that the grain that was traded for the portal was specifically designed for Setlik 2 and its bio, and now they don't have it, and there's not much left in the whole air quadrant for them. That could mean their whole planet or the colony starves, is making him feel real bad, to the point that he wants to not necessarily steal the ship, but use its communication system to contact the Orions again. Pike is getting really annoyed with the both of them and what looked like they were attempting to steal the shuttle. But in the midst of the conversation, they discover that each starship vessel, at least according to the Starfleet Museum in Mariner's time, each vessel was built with a piece of the NX-1, the USS Enterprise NX-1, and that had neutronium in it. So each vessel gets a piece of that. So there is some neutronium left, and it's on the Enterprise. In the transporter room, Spock and Boiler have their moment. Spock actually gives him the standard Vulcan greeting and goodbye, and Boiler can't even respond back. He's so mesmerized by the fact that he was greeted by the legendary Spock. On the planet, the Orions are waiting for them, and it turns out that Mariner and Boiler sent them a signal asking them to meet them on the planet. They want to see if they can get the Orions to give them the grain back so they can help the people on Setlik 2. They explained that their great-granddaughter is a friend of theirs on their ship, and that the Orions are friends. Pike agrees to tell the Federation and history books that the Orions, a science vessel, discovered the portal. And that makes them very happy. They don't want to be looked at as nothing but pirates. They do want to be looked at as explorers. So they give the grain back and allow them to use the portal. And all is well in both ends of the portal. Now, the one thing that I forgot to mention was back at the bar, Mariner made up this drink that she obviously showed them how to reproduce. And back in the 23rd century on the Enterprise, they're having those same drinks, and they're having quite the hallucinations from them as well. Okay, and that really much is the episode, Those Old Scientists. And to me, this was the best episode that I have seen from this season so far. And I apologize to all the people out there that I talked to that said that I said this was going to be a bad episode. I apologize deeply. I'm going to end the video right here, my friends, but I want to hear your thoughts and your comments on this. Let me know what you think about this, and I will talk to you next time. And until the next time, my friends, God